Welcome to my atelier, welcome to painting this course. I'm going to be today again working on my, just a second. I'm sorry about that, I had music in the background. So again, welcome to a painting this course. Welcome to this video that again, it's part of a larger series where I'm dealing with this fragment preparatory painting, if you wish, for my larger piece when I'm exploring the possibilities of textures, mediums, compositions, and paint application, and so on and so forth. Today, I would like to continue working on the portraits that are not resolved in the background. So I have some idea about how to, or what positions I want, where do I want them to look, what the tilts and rotations of the head I want. It's all just an approximation, and since I'm not really capable of imagine everything really placed there, I have to start putting some suggestions of the I don't know, let's say shadow shape for the eyes, shadow shape for nose, a little bit of ear, maybe some indications of hairlines, and maybe a little bit of features, just to show the overall structure. You might see that I have a little bit of light going right there on the where is it coming from? I'm not sure. Okay, I got it. I'm sorry, I had to correct this because today, again, I'm working from natural light. Since the natural light, it's unpredictable. Sometimes it's cloudy, sometimes it's really sunny, like it is right now. 10 minutes ago, there was like a big kind of a cloud going over the sun, so conditions are changing. That is something that I would like to take advantage of every day, because it's showing me different light conditions, and under different light conditions I might have some it kind of gives me a different look at the painting, because when it's really shiny, kind of a strong light shining into my studio, there is way more bounce light from the studio walls around me, and all the other artifacts that are here, and the mess that it's behind the borders of the camera that you can see. So it kind of is showing me more and more, and telling me more and more about the color, about the chroma that I have on my painting, the values, and so on and so forth. It also has its drawbacks. As you can see right now, I have to really cover different parts of my window to have a kind of a one even light hitting my canvas. It's still not ideal because you can see some shadows, and that might be also because of the position of my studio. It's kind of a northwest oriented, and later during the day I'm catching a little bit of a direct sunlight, which is unfortunate, but that's what it is for now. I don't want to spend too much time with technicalities and problems of my studio, because that's not the actual focus of this of these videos. Let's talk about the painting itself, and what I'm going to be working on today. But before I start talking about my painting, I would like you to grab your pencils, paints, and whatever medium that you like to work with, and join me, because that's probably the best way to enjoy these streams, enjoy this video, to really explore your own work and maybe compare it with my struggle that I have with this painting, and for any painting for that matter, the exploration, the journey, and maybe we'll get to final destination together. We will see. I have a couple things that I want to address today, and again, those of you who watch these videos or seen the previous videos, you know, guys, that I really come to studio. I work on this painting behind the scenes, in terms of analyzing it, kind of dealing with what have been done previously, what needs to be changed, what should stay, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be really fine-tuned. And this is that really slow kind of my studio approach to painting. I am not one of those alla prima, you know, cool painters that can just really place the brush strokes with the right value, right chroma, right transparency or opacity in the right spot with the right shape. I'm sorry, I can't. That's not that, it's not for lack of trying, simply it doesn't fit to what I perceive as a painting. Even though I practice alla prima, kind of that direct painting, it's not really something that I do. I work with layers. I love to work with fingers. I like to work with sandpaper, palette knives. I'm really searching for different paint application, and you will see me really damage my brushes, not because I purposely want to brush them, but because the way I'm trying to load the brush with the paint, the way I'm trying to apply the paint, and I'm really searching for these nice kind of brush strokes. And I'm not afraid to scrape it off if I don't like it, and you see me do this all the time, or repaint it. Rather than just scraping, and I like to repaint it, and I've been working a little bit on this portrait and behind, because it was necessary to put it there. And I can right now start judging these figures against each other, and that's why I need to place some more portraits right here, and I have to decide on what the orientation is going to be for them. I don't think that I'll be able to do all 5 portraits that are behind today. I might be able to do one, and I don't know if I'm going to focus on this 2 or 3, or maybe these 2 right here. Probably I should work with these 2, because I kind of feel this is a focal point, this is a secondary, this is a tertiary focal point, or the movement that I need. So maybe I'll focus on this area right here and try to resolve this before I get into that group of 3 right there. Okay, that's about the introduction for today. I want to quickly talk about the palette, just to refresh your memory about it, about the pigments that I use and the way how I think about them. I have a titanium white and ivory black, and then I have my pigments organized in kind of a color wheel. I use both ideas, both schools of thought, tonalism and colorism. So I have a warmer and cooler variants, and I have a darker and lighter variant of my pigments. I also thinking about chroma, so I have a different I have a pigments with the different chromas. I also think about opacity and transparency. So some of my colors are transparent, some of them are opaque. Depends on what kind of effect I want to achieve with the paint, whether it's like a scambling or glazing or dry brush. I mix these pigments according to what I have in mind, what I want to create, what kind of effect I want to create, rather, I should say. As a medium, I use just the mineral spirits and linseed oil mixture, and the only rule that I have is I'm trying to apply fat over lean. That's probably the only rule that I have. And then I scrape a lot, and you might have seen me scraping. The reason why I'm scraping is I'm trying to get rid of a texture that's not supposed to be there. And then also I like to use a sandpaper where I'm really, again, not necessarily making the canvas soft or smooth, but I'm kind of looking for that those layers there underneath, and you know, I have a idea, or actually I work warm and cool, warm and cool, warm and cool. I'm varying these layers, so if this is a cooler kind of underpainting, you might say, but this is really, there's almost no paint here. This is really, it's just it's really like imprimatura almost. So if this is a cool or neutral imprimatura, I'm gonna go warm on this, and then tomorrow I might work with cool variants of these pigments, because that's kind of that technical narrative that we were talking about previously, something that I really enjoy. So that's that. Cheap brushes that I buy in bulk, household brushes. That's what I like to use. And then fingers, palette knives, and all kinds of kitchen utensils that I have here when I'm experimenting with the paint. I have my books and references of, reproductions. This is Velázquez. I have a Caravaggio here underneath this Rembrandt. These are probably, and Titian. These are probably the most influential, most important painters that I go to, or I refer, or I'm asking or searching for answers in these reproductions, because I think that. I'm sure that they had that kind of a moment of struggle in their work, and they refer to some masters before them as well. And I have a Velázquez open because I was looking for that kind of a transitions between the heads and the figures, because that's something that I'm going to deal with, and I wanted to see how he treats that kind of a negative space that is right here. Negative space would be, in this case, the background or the sky, and how he then creates that kind of a idea of what's a focal point, what's secondary, what's tertiary, how he works with edges, how he applies the paint, what kind of that overlaps is he using, and I think that this is a good example for what I'm dealing and struggling with myself right now. So I might use a couple of his paintings as a help, and then I also have my digital references that It's just a tablet that I use for stuff that I don't have in the books, and I really prefer digital mediums right now rather than just piles of photocopies from the printer. That's something that was around my studio, and it gave me kind of that visual pollution and distracted me from looking to a painting itself. So let's really dive into it so I don't waste precious time, mine and yours as well. So hopefully this little introduction gave you a minute or 2 or 10 to prepare and gather your stuff, and you're ready to paint or draw or sculpt or work digitally, or just a vacuum while I talk and you are having it as a background noise. I don't really mind. It's totally cool. I do it myself. So yep, I'm gonna jump right into it, and I'm gonna, again, I did little sketches, little preparations. I did I spent a couple hours researching, going through the piles of images on the internet that they have, or they dealt with a similar problem with that kind of a negative shape and then kind of a nice unified, how would I put this? I really have a hard time to sometimes to describe these philosophical ideas. Basically, I have a negative space that if I would just put in kind of a straight line, would be really boring. It would be easy and it would solve a lot of problems, but it would be boring to look at. So I'm trying to create a little bit of interest for your eye and for your brain and for you to kind of stay in that painting with me as long as possible. And I'm trying to create like a little maze, like a little labyrinth for your eye, so you cannot quickly just look at it and move away to another painting. And I want to create an interest. I want to create the interplay between figures in the background with the figures in the foreground, with the elements that they are holding and the way that they are moving towards us. So I think, I should probably look right here into this and maybe figure it out certain position for the arm and hand, so it does not really interfere with the figure in the foreground. So I'm just going to go directly into paint. I'm not going to use wine charcoal as I usually do today for drawing, because I have already paint, the light paint and the dark paint, or light value and dark value there, and it would be difficult for me to give myself kind of a quick placeholders for light value, because I can create only dark value with my wine charcoal. So that's why I'm going into paint directly. And when I'm in this stage, different project earlier today, and I did not clean this brush. Let me just clean it real quick. And I have just a little jar with the solvent right here, so I'm just quickly get rid of that excess paint that was there. And the reason why I'm cleaning it, because I see white pigment in the mixture, and I want to transparent. And since I'm using titanium white is extremely opaque, and I want a transparent pigments right now for the shadows to keep the transparency. And the reason why I want a transparent pigments is that I don't need to use that much solvent or medium, whatever medium you use, to make them transparent. Which gives me a, what if I, yeah, maybe I could adjust it this way. And that's something, when I talked to you previously about pigments, I was mentioning that I don't care about brands, I care about the properties of that paint. And okay, I'm going to correct this a little bit. And that's something that is important for me. So since I'm going to work with the shadows a little bit, I want something transparent, because that transparency kind of give a depth to painting. And then when I'm working with light, I want to go opaquely and really like a little bit thicker paint application. Okay. So I want to, okay, this is about right. And again, I'm not sure whether this guy is going to be bold or with some specific hair. I don't really think about this right now. I'm just trying to get the kind of a general layout for facial features. You know, I'm making it a little bit exaggerated, but the reason is that I'm standing all the way in the back of my studio, and I need to see those exaggerated lines from a distance, and then I'll soften them accordingly. That means that as it is right now, I need to be able to see proportions and dimensions of the head, because I'm trying to compare the head with everything around. And I don't mean like the right direct surroundings, but I need to compare this head to this head to this head to his arm to his feet in general, and they need to work together in terms of perspective, atmospheric perspective, size, proportions, anatomy, and that's something that is not as easy to achieve if I'm really just standing this close and really paying attention to only this portrait. This portrait has only meaning if it helps the whole composition. Otherwise, the portrait, it's pointless. There's no reason for me to paint that portrait unless it's supposed to, unless it helps. Again, a little bit of light right there. Are you kidding me? So it makes no sense for me to have beautiful portrait right here unless it supports the overall composition. This is very, very difficult, and I cannot stress this enough, how many times I made this mistake to focus on the beautiful, beautiful developed portrait right here that is wrong size, in the wrong position, and it destroys the overall composition and flow of the composition rather to help it. It's imperative for everyone who's watching this video and wants to learn one thing from my mistakes. Don't fall in that category that I am, that you just zoom in onto this little piece and you're trying to figure it out what's happening here, and you know, nicely craft the eyes and then the nose and everything looks perfect, better than Rembrandt would ever paint, and then the whole this thing is just a mess. I mentioned this a million times and I'm going to repeat myself. The composition for me, it's the key to beautiful painting, or successful painting rather. Okay, I should push this a little bit more in rather than out. Because I felt that I was correcting that portrait or the head, and I was expanding way too much into space. That means that I was making it bigger and bigger and bigger. Suddenly it would be size of this, and that will give me, that would break that kind of idea that this is closer to me than he is. So this is probably the center. It's going this way, here, nose, mouth. It's going here, somewhere here. And then this is a chin right there. And chin right there. Just probably way too much of a shadow. And I'm thinking, is he going to be bold, or am I going to give him that funky head, that funky. I shouldn't say funky. That it's not really true. It's funky. It's just it has that particular shape. So I'm looking at that possibility to give him that kind of a typical monk-like. Let me just add a little bit more of a darker value here really quickly, because I want to see the shape, and if I see the shape, I can then judge the size of the portrait. I think this is okay. I think this is okay. And then maybe I should push this a little higher. It seems like it's dropping down a little too much, so. And I'm making these mental notes while I'm back in, out of a frame. Because that's where I I think he could have that kind of a monk hair. And I forgot that what. Yeah, I think I might. But as it is right now, I might leave him bald-headed, just so I can see what's happening there. So let me add a little bit of a. So I want to go this way. Yeah, I want to put it here, and then I want to go here, like so. And then same go with this, because I want to show that he's looking a little bit more down. So again, I might be pushing it a little too hard on value. But that's okay, because as it is right now, I would really like to see a shape from all the way back, and I can always soften it up or wipe it if it's too dark, or repaint it completely if I don't like it at all. And let's work on the nose a little bit, because that's something that I'm not sure how it's going to. And then mouth could be right here. Mirror check. Okay, I think this works. I need to get rid of that really dark mark that I put right here previously. So seems like a bit too much. Yeah. looking for a anatomy reference. I think I got some idea of how I want to approach this portrait. So let me just this might be way too warm of a color, but yep. Okay, that's better. And I'm just dry brushing it right now. And I'm not really looking for anything else, just for shape. Light shape. And looking for a darker value. And you can see that right now I'm just painting really just a generic head. And the reason is because first, before, like I mentioned, again, I want to create, I want to set up these placeholders for painting that's going to happen on top of this. And first I need to see, and I need to make sure that I have a right size, a right position, right tilt, right proportion compared to other parts of the painting. Yeah, I think this is a right size. When I'm looking here, this is about yay big. So this should be smaller, and it is smaller. About, I don't know, 1/5 smaller. And this, compared to this, it's also 1/5. So I'm going, this one, it's the biggest because it's, the focal point is the closest to us, together with this one. Then I have this that's right behind him, and then this is all the way back. Another thing, I'm comparing the size of these heads, so that's correct. And right now I want to make sure that I have a 7. Okay, so I'm on a 7 heads, but he's a little bit slouch, so that's kind of okay. 7, 7.5. I can always push this leg a little bit lower, but I don't think that he seems that he's too short for his head. I think it's kind of okay because he's leaning a little bit forward. He's putting pressure on that right leg. Okay. Let me just pump up saturation a little bit because I want to see that overall shape. So I'm really building a generic kind of a planer head. I guess that's probably the easiest way to explain that thought process behind what I'm doing right now. And I really want to create the kind of a feeling that he's looking down. And the reason why I want him to look down, because again, I want a little bit of variety, and then I want to bring that emotion out of him that he's tired of walking. So again, that's that technical narrative that I mentioned, that I heard the first time being used by Winston Desiderio. This ear right here, and I wanna create that overlap, the kind of a feeling that one it's in front of another. So I am pushing ear in front of that icon that he's holding, and maybe I could do a little bit of shadow on the icon, just a little bit, to kind of break that. Right now it might look like his ear is way too big. Luckily, you cannot see it on the camera. That is a beauty of working with this kind of setup. Really, some of the mistakes you cannot see, fortunately for me. But they're there. And that might be a good lesson that even though you can't see them and you cannot comment on how bad it looks, it's still there. And when you work alone in the studio, you don't have anybody to tell you that it's wrong. You have to rely on your own critical judgment. And like I mentioned, I love to come to studio these days early morning and look at my painting first thing and really push myself to be critical to what I see. And the reason why I want to be critical is that who else is going to criticize or creating that constructive criticism unless I do it for myself? There's no one else here. So I have a head that I think it's a little too on the big side. So I'm gonna adjust it a little bit. And I have a couple options, but I think I can trim it a little bit here and I can push his, I can make his beard a little lower, a little smaller, I'm sorry, a beard. It's not even a beard. His chin, rather. But before I do so, I want to really look into it, or look at it. So let's see, I have a nose that it's right here. Then I'm going to have that mouth that's right here. It's part of that shadow shape. Then I have a bottom lip. Then I have a shadow underneath the bottom lip, and then I have a beard right here. Okay, beard, chin right here. So it theoretically I could push it a little this way, like so, and it will end up here. I think that's okay. Since there's a tilt, or actually the he's looking down. I can afford to make his chin a little smaller. Yeah, I think that's gonna work. I think that's gonna work. I need to soften this a little bit. So it has that kind of a transparent feel to it. Darker value, because I want to do this kind of a half tone right here where his cheek is, and I want to get it a little warmer because it's kind of reflecting into his cheek, the icon that it's right here. So it should be cooler. How would I put this? It should be connected. That's what I'm trying to say. And that's something that I know that a lot of students struggle with, that kind of a understanding that how the light works and how it bounces from objects around. And I think that if you really go and check Rembrandt, you will see how Master deals with this kind of stuff. Okay, so I have this and that. I need to push this little lighter and the nose a little redder, so okay. Okay. And then there is a shadow right here underneath his nose. So I'm gonna... And when I say shadow, I'm thinking about that shape rather than just shadow itself. Okay, there's a half tone there, and then there is a shadow right here underneath the bottom lip. And I'm working partially with sketches, and a lot of these things are from imagination. And I showed you last time that I have my skull right here, and I'm thinking about that skull and how it's hitting light, and you can see, or you can't, but I can see how much reflected light is right here, how much kind of that orange, warmish color is being applied, it's being reflected rather into that skull. So there should be a lighter value right here. This is annoying. Okay, so there's a little too much. light underneath. In here. And then I need a little darker value, like a half tone for the nose. And I think I could push it with this. Yep. Okay, cool. And then this is a side plane of the nose. Okay, so I'm going back and forth, and I think I have to push this a little bit more with the light value. Because that's a top plane. So I'm doing nothing else, I'm just creating kind of a generic head that is going to be sitting right there and will help me to judge everything else off of that head. There should be a half tone right here. And then I want to correct this because these are really harsh transitions. So since right now I know where the face is going to be approximately, it's not a perfect portrait by any means. I didn't even aim for that. Let me just correct the nose a little bit because it seems cool. Yep. Nice. And maybe I should hit it with a little lighter value on the nose. Because that's so if you saw this and you're painting in a kitchen, make a mental note when your brush will drop down, you will stain your carpet forever. There is a plane change right here on the nose. And I want to definitely show. But I don't want it to be that abrupt. So I'll soften it a little bit. Yes. Cool. And the reason is that I don't want anything to overpower what's on I don't want to overpower the focal point. And I know I mentioned this, these are not finished at all. So there's going to be a lot of work that's going to be put, that I have to put here, into the fingers, into the hands and arms right here. So, and in order for me to know and see how far I have to push this, I had to include what's happening around them, because they, as I mentioned, I was struggling, I didn't know what to do, and I really had to push it. And not only push it, I had to push myself to put it there. I was struggling, I was afraid, and then again, going back to that kind of creative process, I was waiting and waiting and waiting for some kind of a, I don't want to say inspiration, for I was kind of gathering the courage to start placing these things that I was not 100% sure about. And immediately I remember the moment that I put background in, everything kind of shifted to another gear, and I was like, oh, this is what I was missing. I was talking about how everything relates to everything else, and then I left the background just toned canvas. And that was a mistake. Okay, I'm correcting it. And right now I'm thinking that since I have this figure right here, let me place this guy right next to it, because I can connect them and create a kind of a, remember I talked about unity and variety, unity within the variety and variety within unity, which is a Harold Speed, probably one of the most influential thing for me when it comes to kind of a theory behind the painting or composition. It's Harold Speed, definitely. And he talks about the unity and variety within unity in his writings. So I connect them together with the value and disconnect them with chroma or temperature then. So they're going to be kind of one shape, but then when you get closer to it and start analyzing it, and your brain's going to ask these questions, oh, those are two different figures or two different heads. It feels like this is a way too dark of a shadow right here, so I'm going to soften it a little bit. And you might ask myself, I might ask myself, I'm sorry, you might ask yourself, what does he mean that he's going to soften the shadow? Well, I just simply mixed the appropriate value and I repainted that shadow. And then you're going to ask, oh, but you said that you want to keep the shadows transparent. Well, they are transparent. I really, really want to put that shadow shape down. Way too light. Okay. I think it's okay for now. Let me right now mix a little bit of the background color as I'm going to use it as eraser brush for those of you who paint digitally. Let's see if I'm close to it. Ooh, this is way too dark of the value. Okay. Okay, yeah. It is working way better right now, that portrait. And again, I'm totally fine with leaving it unfinished because that's not as important right now for me. The details. I'm gonna have fun a little bit with that. With the portrait next to it, or with the head next to it, or figure next to it. And so he has, this is the head. And again, generic head, nothing. And the only thing that I'm looking at right now is that rhythm. I don't care at all about anything else but the rhythm that I want to create between these heads. And when I say rhythm, I'm looking at this negative space that it's the sky behind. That's what I want to make sure that it's kind of interesting. And I think it works. And that's why I have my book with Velázquez open, because if you check his paintings and specifically that the one with the drinkers, how is it called? I can't find it. Let me see. I get it. The Drinkers or the Triumph of Bacchus. You can see how he connects and disconnects the figures and how he treats that positions for a head. And I really enjoy to look at that negative space. And by negative space, I mean the background that he created. The kind of a, you know, when you're thinking about the sky, but sky is kind of dirty, and then it's like a little bit of a blue paint there, which is probably not even blue. It's just the ivory black sitting, mixed with the white sitting on top of warm underpainting. So let me, and I'm thinking maybe this head could be darker in terms of value. But I'm not sure if that's the right call. Well, I'm going to test it. Let me just do a little bit of the features. So again, I'm just working with the generic. This should be the chin, might be right here. So these are next to each other, so I'm gonna approximate. I'm gonna do the same size for a head. Maybe I can push it a can go a little lower. So I want approximately the same size for these. Cool. And then again, so I just scrape the paint there, and this is, you know, the best example for you to observe what I mean by damaging brushes. I'm not damaging them on purpose. I just want to be free and have that freedom with applying paint on canvas. That's why I paint with cheap brushes. I paint with, I would rather spend more money on expensive pigment, because that's, and expensive canvas, because that's something that should stay there as long as possible, hundreds of years hopefully. Brushes are something that's supposed to be destroyed or damaged. That's the nature of a brush. I'm kind of scrubbing things on the canvas, and since I'm using a really rough canvas, especially for the painting this size, I can't imagine that I have expensive brushes. So I remember when I was in the United States, in a studio in the academy, at the beginning of my endeavors in painting, I'm really, really jealous when I saw students with these beautiful sets of expensive brushes. Because they felt so nice. But then I went, I earned some money, I bought them, and I have never used them. They're still here somewhere in the shelf, because I was so afraid to use them. So I have them as a reminder of what's important. Is it expensive brushes or painting, being painted? And I don't want to really moralize. I'm just being honest with my experience. And again, I'm not necessarily painting portrait, I am just creating a placeholder for a portrait. Okay, I made it a little too dark, a little too generic, but that's okay, because right now I can correct it. And I'm using really very, very cool pigments or cool colors or cool temperature, only because I want it to be sitting in the background. And I push that shadow shape of the eyes a little too far away from each other. So this is where it is. And there's going to be noise somewhere around here. Okay, he should be definitely lighter. I thought that I'm going to make it darker, but no, let's make it really light. Okay. So again, you saw me put the dark value there, and then I, decided it needs to be light, so I switched it to light. And on the camera, it might seem that it's really, really warm, but it's only because of that. And let me connect this with the background through value. And these are really, really, really soft transitions. And the reason is that I don't want you to be able to focus there on this area, because it's already a lot of attention there. So I'm kind of trying to soften it, almost blend it with the background, but not with blending and blending and blending. I created and I can make it even lighter maybe. I'm trying to create a temperature variations and chroma variations. I think that I made his head, or let me just check it. I think it's way too big. The head is way too big, maybe, or forehead, perhaps. And it's because I don't see where is the end of the chin, or the bottom part of the chin. Okay. Again, I'm gonna mix a little bit more of a background color before it gets really dark, and I'll have to go. And I'm going with my background color over that. Over that portrait, because I want it to sit really, really back in space. And I'm gonna, again, I made the shadows way too dark, and it's only because the whole idea at the beginning was that, oh, let me make his face darker. Well, I tried it, I didn't like it, so I repainted it. So this is how it's sitting in the back, and I can tell that you can barely see it. And it's all mushy and unresolved, and that's exactly what I want it to be, because I don't want your attention to go there. So there are no clear boundaries between the background and the sky, or his head and the sky. Okay, let me right now soften that this harsh edge right here. I don't even understand why did I put it there. Such unnecessary thing. And I put light. Really light value there, only because I need to get rid of that harsh, dark line that kind of breaks that rule about atmospheric perspective that I was talking about. And it was bringing too much attention to that portrait. So I'm softening those transitions a little bit. Because again, same thing, connecting and disconnecting. And right now I need to connect this. Yeah, way better. Way better, and maybe make this a little wider right here, so I know where the edge is for that icon, and maybe make her a little wider as well. Okay, I think this works. And then before I leave, I'm gonna quickly walk you through something that I'm gonna be working behind the scenes when the stream stops. I have this portrait or head or figure looking this direction. I have this looking a little bit more towards me, and this looking completely towards me, and him going away this direction. So I'm creating that kind of a Z or diagonal composition, but also I'm trying to create it in the space. That means that they're going kind of like this in the space. I have to figure it out what to do with this head right here, because I don't want to have 1, 2, 3 going this way in the background. And again, if you remember, I was talking about the composition, I was talking about the repetition. I'm looking at it right now, and the distance between here and here it kind of giving me a feeling that is the same distance between here and here, and then again the same intervals. So I'm kind of repeating the same intervals, and I have to change it. And not only that, I'm keeping them kind of in one diagonal right here. So I need to create some interest. Maybe I will connect these together, like so. So I break that pattern. There's still going to be portraits there, but I need to connect them. Something that you should definitely, like I said, Velázquez, Rembrandt, Titian, Van Dyck comes to mind. How beautifully they can, you know, overlap the heads and create these kind of create these transitions, that unity within the variety and variety within unity. So I kind of figured out what I want to have here. So hold this corner. It's placed. It's set. I'm going to develop it in the next stage. But before I'm going to work on that, I need to figure it out this group of heads right here and how they connect, how they're going to connect to this, because again, I feel like the sameness going one head, second head, and third head that are kind of overlapping in the same rate. So perhaps I will have to push it a little higher, disconnect it right here, and that's something that I'm going to work. I'm going to take a picture of this. I have a tablet. I can work on the tablet a little bit and sketch it in. I can print it out and do a little drawing on top of a printed A4 what did I want to say? To print it out, the painting, and maybe sketch a little bit something on top of it. I can play with it till tomorrow when I get to studio. When I get to atelier, I'm going to be looking at it, adjusting the mistakes, questioning whether or not it works or it doesn't, and slowly move forward. And then when I get to actual paint, I already have some plan prepared for what to do. So I'm not kind of I'm not in the position that I enter the studio and right now I don't know what to do. Even though the stream ended, even though I put down the brushes, that's not the end of the work for me. It's just the end of the stream, and you should put yourself into that kind of a mindset as well, that if you do not have a model, I don't have models right now. I'm working from imagination. I'm working from sketches. I'm using references. I have a skull right here. I still need to produce. I still need to push forward. Ideally, I would like to have even bigger studio with the northern lights only, with the models on the call, with all the costumes that I need. Unfortunately, that's not really how it works. And I'm pretty sure that very few painters can have these things, maybe the top of the top. But even though if you can use it, it's not necessary. You can still continue working from home. And if you don't have, a large canvas and dedicated palette, you still have a sketchbook, you still have pencils, you still have different types of media. You can work dry, you can work with tempera, you can work with wash. Actually cool thing to do. And to prove it, I might take a break from this a little bit, and I have a couple canvases stretched and ready for other projects that I have. So I might just show you how to work with just cheap household paint, which is acrylic, in a sense. So and it's not like it would be finished piece. It's more about that experience, to get familiar with how the shapes work, what the composition is, let's say what the larger size requires for you to be thinking of. So yeah, that would be it. That would be it for today. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you soon. Take care. Bye.